Howdy folks, Greyhawk 4x4 coming at you again, your resident vintage gamer. And I did an experiment, and the experiment was a success. So what I mean by that is that some time ago, probably I think I was around 950 subscribers, I believe. And I said to myself, well, YouTube has these arbitrary, levels that you have to get to, these stages that you have to get to be monetized now, even though I was monetized before. And then they said, all of a sudden they said, okay, no, now you got to have 1,000 subscribers, and you have to have 4,000 hours of watch time of your videos throughout the previous 12 months. And so, of course, a lot of us small YouTubers were upset about that. And I thought about it long and hard, whether or not I was going to keep doing videos, if it was worth my time, yada, yada, yada. And so sometime back, when I was around that threshold there, about 950, 940, whatever it was, and I said, you know what I'm going to do? I think I am just not going to do any videos and see if my existing library of videos is enough content to attract people to get me over the 1,000 subscriber mark. And I don't know how many videos I've got. I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of almost 250 videos, something like that. And I thought, that'll tell me if there's a genuine audience out there that I could build upon to get to the next threshold, which is the 4,000 hours of view time in the past 12 months. Because right now I am at about a little over 1,000 hours, only 1/4 of the way to the next threshold. Now, of course, I've been sporadic and so forth, but for me the first test was, let's just see if just on autopilot, if there's enough of an audience out there to get me over the 1,000 subscriber mark. And there was. I am now at 1,006 subscribers. I even gave myself a little cushion there before doing this video in case it rolled back a little bit, But I think I'm pretty much safely there at the 1,000 subscriber mark. Because they do tell you that if you drop back below a threshold, you will become demonetized again. It's not like once you hit it, you're good to go. No. So anyway, so those of you that helped me get there, thank you. Those of you that have been long-time subscribers, thank you even more. And anybody that's watching this going forward, thank you if you hit that, click the like button, subscribe, the bell, the whole bit. So here's what we're going to do. Here is part B of my plan. Now that I am at the first threshold, I am going to try to do at least 3 videos a week. I'd like to say I would do a video a day, but I do have a full-time job, and I am a pool guy. And it is, if you look at the calendar, summer just started. So I'm a busy dude this time of year. But in order for me to get to that next threshold, I'm going to have to start cranking out some videos on a regular basis. Good content to keep everybody engaged and get new subscribers, etc. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and do 3 a week. I don't know which days those will fall on. If I weren't, I didn't have a full-time job, I would set a schedule and say, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or something like that. But as it stands, I'm just going to shoot to do 3 each week. And I don't know exactly what type of content schedule I want to do. If I want to set a schedule and say, I'm going to do a gaming vlog on this day, and I'm going to do some type of gaming news video where I kind of recap the gaming news for new gaming and vintage game, any vintage stuff that's having a resurgence or whatever. And then if we're going to do a beer 30, by the way, I am having a wonderful German-style beer from our local brewery here, Bohemian. I'll tell you about it as soon as I have a little sip here. This is the Bohemian Brewery Helles Bock. And let's see if we can get that so there's not so much of a, there you go, not so much glare on there. It's a seasonal brew that they do, and the reason I like this one so much, I like everything by Bohemian. That's our favorite brewery here. But the reason I like this one so much is it reminds me almost to a T of a beer that we used to get in Schaffenburg, where I was there. That was it was called the name of the brewery was Highlands, and if you saw it, it would say Haylands. You would think it said Haylands, but it's pronounced Highlands. Highlands Brewery, and it was their export. And this to me tastes damn close to it. It's a little high. It's a 6.9 percentage on alcohol, so it's a little stiff. But as far as I'm concerned, I think it's perfect for the for balancing the flavor and everything. Anyway, so we will be doing some beer 30s. I don't even know if I'm going to call them beer 30 anymore. I don't know if people like that terminology, that nomenclature or whatever. I like it, but I'll get some feedback from you guys, and you guys can tell me. And so again, the goal is just going to be let's try and do 3 a week, different content, keep it topical, keep it current, etc. Because then now I feel like if I can do that, and I do that for the next 6 months or so, and then maybe even more going forward past that, that I'll start getting towards that 4,000 hour mark. So that's where we're at, guys. I hope that you didn't mind my little experiment. I saw that I did get hit up by some of my longtime subscribers who hit me up and were like, "Hey, we haven't seen anything," etc. And I just kind of want to let it ride, and it did, and it told me that what I needed to know. So, anyway, moving on to the next thing. This particular video, I thought we'd talk about this. This is the Ghosts of Saltmarsh, the new adventure from Wizards of the Coast for 5th edition, and the back is kind of cool too. So, my last video before the experiment, I talked about the original modules that inspired this, and how much I liked them, and played them, DM'd them, did all of it, And I can't tell you how pleased I was to see that this particular volume, when it came out, they did an absolute wonderful job of honoring those original modules. They have all 3 of them in there. They've redone them under the same names. And from what I can tell, I read through it, it looks pretty much almost word for word on the original 3 modules. And then they've added additional adventures in here based on some other content from either 3.5 or 4th edition, I think. Ones that I don't even have. So I think there's a total of 7 adventures. And the book is laid out very well. It's actually probably my favorite book for 5th edition that has come out. And the artwork aside, I mean, the artwork's of course amazing, but the content itself is, I think they did a wonderful job. And they even do little throwback kind of recaps at the bottom of each of those original adventures that they've redone, and they show the cover of the original. It says about the original in this book, and it tells about the original module. So all in all, I am very pleased with this book. Another note on here, a couple of different things. for those of you that may have gotten the previous special editions through Wizards, where you got like Volo's guy, and they had the special covers that you could only get at the local game store, just like this one. If you remember, those all had what I call the soft touch finish on them, where it felt almost like satin, like a satin finish, which was really cool. This one does not have that. It doesn't have a gloss finish like the regular 5th edition like core rule books do. Those have what I would call a gloss. They're shiny and they have a gloss. This is more of a matte, but it doesn't have that soft touch stuff to it. And I think I was kind of bummed at first because I was like, oh, that doesn't have the same finish to it, But then I thought about it a little bit. That soft touch finish is very, very delicate. It's very fragile and can be scarred and damaged very easily. This is a little bit more rugged. It's still nice, but it's a little bit more rugged. So maybe they switched over to this because, it was just too easy for those other ones. Because you're paying, you got to go to your local game store and you're paying, cover price for these. Not an Amazon price like you can do with the other ones where they're freaking $20 cheaper or whatever. And I guess people, were concerned about getting them all scarred up and everything. So that's kind of a twofold thing, whether you like that soft touch thing or if you prefer this because now maybe it's a little bit more rugged and you feel like you can, use it a little bit more without worrying about getting it all damaged. So that's one thing. The other thing is, this is the first volume that they've put out where I feel they got the binding right. And what I mean by that is, previous ones, the binding was very easily broken. And there's a difference between breaking in a binding and actually breaking a binding, where it basically breaks on a certain point. And every time you open the book, it just goes to that because that part of the binding is busted. This one is bound very well. And if you know how to break in a binding, as Mrs. Wiles, my 5th grade teacher, taught us in 5th grade, she taught us how to actually break in a brand new book, hardbound book, how to break in a binding. And if you guys ever want me to go into detail on how to do that, I will. It'd be thrilling video and all, but it involves, going through a few pages at a time and doing it the right way, and there's a way to do that. And I do that with my books. To this day, ever since I learned that in 5th grade, I've always done that to kind of break in the bindings so they don't crack and break and snap. But this one, whoever they had produce these, whether it was a different company or it was the same company and they just changed their process and a little bit better quality control, this is a quality book. I'm telling you. Content, artwork, binding, even the cover, I give it a 9.5 out of 10. I mean, I don't know how you could improve upon it, but to give a perfect score to anything is pretty doggone hard. But I'm very pleased with that. So that's just the main topic I want to talk about today. We'll cover a couple other things real quick here, and the key here is, if there's anything that you guys want me to start covering in these 3 videos a week, you gotta comment down below and say, hey, how about we talk about this? How about this? Whatever. Give me ideas what you guys want to hear, because I want to give you what you want. So, but one thing is the World of Warcraft Classic. I am not in the beta. However, I was in the stress test, which I think everybody was probably. So I played up to like level 7, I think it was. And I played a rogue, and all I can tell you is I couldn't get enough. I just wish this thing would launch. I would be back in a second. I would never play World of Warcraft, the current, Battle for Azeroth version again. I would just play Classic because it feels more realistic in a way of you have to earn things when you're playing Classic. And it feels good to go out and the first time you get a green quality item, I mean, you're celebrating because, you know, you had to work for that damn thing. This shit ain't easy. You pull 2 mobs by accident, you're running your ass off for your life, you know. And you have to work on your weapon skills, and you've got to work on, you know, and you've got to level everything up individually. You know, you got to put the time in, and you know, everybody wants instant gratification now, but those of us, and there's a lot of us, because I've been reading the forums and everything else, a lot of us want to feel immersed in the world and invested in our character, and don't just want everything thrown free at us. You know, you go out, you do a couple world quests, boom, you're all epiced out again. And, you know, I mean, that, to me, is anticlimactic. So, WoW Classic, I'm all in. I'm in. But in the meantime, because I can't play Battle for Azeroth anymore, I did it, I was geared out, you know, right away, got to max level, geared out, and bored out of my mind in no time, you know. So, what I did is I don't know why, but I just fired up EverQuest 2 just to see what was happening, and I saw that they had just launched, literally had just launched what they call a time lock server, which is basically their version of Classic, kind of like their EverQuest 2 Classic, you know, where everything goes back to the very beginning, and you do not have any access to any of the further expansions until a certain time period where they will unlock the next expansion. So for this, it's the if you're interested, it's the Kaladin server, which is the time lock server. So it's basically what original EQ2 was up till level 50, and the first expansion was Desert of Flames, and they're not releasing that. From when they released the server, it was going to be 16 weeks till they would unlock the Desert of Flame content, and then they will go forward, so forth and so on. So basically, I've been doing that, and it's kind of been satisfying the Classic, you know, need that I want with World of Warcraft Classic. It's kind of filling that void for now, you know. So if any of you ever played EverQuest 2 and weren't aware of it, there you go. You have a time lock server you could go get on right now. I'm also playing New Dawn, Far Cry New Dawn. I've played every Far Cry to completion, all the way up through Far Cry 5. Love every one of them. New Dawn, it's beautiful, it's pretty, and everything else, but it's starting to feel a little tired. It's starting to feel a little old because it's the same mechanics. You got to clear outposts. You got to clear outposts. You got to go do treasure missions. You know, and it's exactly the same with just different skinned world and everything on it. It's a little bit different because you've got a little bit of a different mechanic with your home base type of a thing. You know, but it's long in the tooth. It's definitely feeling it. And a couple of other smaller titles that I've been tinkering around with because I found them real cheap on Steam. The Alchemist. It's called The Alchemist. Excuse me. I had to wet the whistle. And The Alchemist is I guess it's kind of anime because of the artwork, but it's more of just a casual puzzle game where you, just as the title would suggest, your character has to go out and gather herbs and stuff and then figure out how to experiment with them to come up with different potions. And as you level up your ability to make different, more complex potions and so forth, you can sell them to the vendor to make more money. And you have to manage resources. You got to manage your food, because if you don't have enough energy, you get tired and you've got to go rest and so forth. And it's just a fun little puzzle game. It's if you've got a couple hours to kill or something, and you don't want a game where you have to be like high intensity or whatever, and you just want to relax. It's a great game for that. Another one that I picked up called The Void. It's weird. I don't know any other way to say it. it's just a weird game. It's not for me. If you see it, it was 99 cents. It's normally $10, and it was 90% off. It was 99 cents. So I'm like, I'll try it. You know, what the hell. Some people are going to love it. It'll be right up their alley. It ain't for me. It is weird. And, you know, I'm not opposed to weird, but it ain't my kind of weird. So, but if you're interested, I wish I could even describe it to you properly, but I don't think I really can. It's like something I've never, I mean, so as far as being unique and innovative and someone using their imagination who designed it, hey, that they did. But it just ain't my cup of tea. So, anyway, that'll be enough for this video. We're over 20 minutes here. I hope that kind of lets you guys know where everything stands. I am going to do the 3 videos a week. Even if it means that it's a rough week for me and I got to do 2 in a day to meet that 3 a week thing, I'm going to do it because I do want to reach that next plateau of 4,000 viewed hours. So you guys can help me get there. Tell me what you want down below. Follow me on social media. Click the like and all that good stuff. All right, guys. Until next time, we will catch you on the flip side.